doing the secondary any favors, and the secondary stinks. All of our linebackers except Fred are awful in coverage. All we do in the biggest moments is commit a defensive penalty, and we've done that now for 10 years. That's from the 650.
Damn. And I told you yesterday, Steiny, this is not my own, but secondary's best friend is a great pass rush. You know what I mean? And right now, and Baldy was on with Bonta and Shasky this morning, and he was just talking about, Stafford's been comfortable, and so is Sam Darnold. And moving forward, that's got to change. But you just get news last night. Hargrave, who you gave a bag to, is gone. So, how confident, that's an issue, Steiny. That's not technique. That's just another injury.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what to add to that. 650, this is what, 650 again. We have a big lack of depth. Young guys aren't developing enough to contribute. That's a coaching issue. 888-957-9570. What's wrong with the Niners right now?
Who did we hear last week, the DB? Was it Mooney Ward who said he wanted to cover? He felt like he should have been covering. No, he can't cover Jefferson. He couldn't cover Tutu. But it's Tutu Atwell. But Steiny, I'm just saying that right there tells me we don't know if he could or not. And maybe he would have had a better chance, but then what happened that game? My point being, if you're questioning the scheme, I'm not saying all the players are, that's just not a good thing. Let me go guard Kobe. He might get 40.
You don't just get to do that if you're a player.
All right.
And dictate to the coaching staff what you think you want to do when there's 10 other guys there. So, I mean, I don't know what's going on defensively. It doesn't seem like there's a lot going on defensively right now.
But what he did say is he was in a better mental zone when he guards the best one. So I'm just throwing that out from not saying he's right, but when the athletes don't get their way or feel like they should be being utilized a different way, Steiny, they're trying their hardest, but mentally you might be at 87% because you're thinking about that, I should be doing something else. That's all.
888-957-9570. Great show coming up today. We got Ross Tucker at 11 o'clock, Odyssey's NFL Insider. At noon, we're going to talk about Brock Purdy and the Purdy prognosis. We'll devote some time to him. And then at 1 o'clock, Sounds of the Week. We had some fun with that last week, and Evan's got some great sound to share this week, and then later in the week, we got a real treat for you guys. But I'm going to keep it under my hat right now.
All right, but you did the Sharks trade. Our team made a trade. Why didn't you tell me? Real quick, they shocked NHA World by trading Thomas Hurdle to Vegas.
Tomas.
Is it Tomas?
Yes.
All right, I'm learning. Tomas Hurdle to Vegas in a blockbuster trade. They traded 2 third-round picks in 2025 and 2027, and in return, we received a 2023.
You good? Did your line cut out?
We'll get back to.
Okay. Yeah, some tough names to pronounce?
No. Some dates, though, threw me off.
Uh-oh.
Well, this happened back in March, by the way.
No, but there was one last night. Ty Emberson. No. The Sharks traded Ty Emberson to the Edmonton Oilers for Cody Cecil and a defenseman and a 2025 third-round pick. That was last night.
Does that change the balance of power?
Tomash Hurdle, by the way. Tomash.
Well, he just corrected me, Spadoni. You didn't hear him?
No, I'm correcting Steiny.
Oh, I said Tomash.
Yeah, I'm on it, Spadoni, right. My trade was last night, Spadoni.
Let's let that go.
Hey, Spadoni, shut up. I know.
We've got to do...
My trade was last night. I was reading old stuff.
What position Emerson play?
He's a defenseman.
Let's get back to the Niners.
Oh, boy.
Although the Sharks could have a big year.
We'll see.
Trucker George. What's going on, Trucker George? How you doing?
Guys, how does my signal sound out here?
Perfect.
Man.
Hey, so first off, just want to say it feels like the organizational concept has changed. We have went away from a defensive line reliant system, and that, we got to give that to the Chiefs for handing us 2 L's in the biggest game. And it feels like the defense is responding to that, and, they're expecting, more quarterback pressure and we just don't have the horses. Meanwhile, we've delegated the funds to the offense and the offensive philosophy. And that's just my opinion. I'm not saying it's word is bond, and I'm just interested in you guys' opinion on the subject matter. Thanks again, guys.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, Bonte said it, during the commercial. I'll just throw it to you and the listeners, Steiny. We're on Aiyuk's neck. And I know that the ink has not even dried from the deal he signed, and we're looking at production. Is it fair we put the same spotlight on Bosa now? He's got 2 sacks, but we all can look each other in the face and say, he, the leader of that D-line, is not doing enough. You say what to that?
He's not. He's not doing enough. I think that's obvious to everybody.
Is that scheme or is that personal? Like, how does it get – I know we have Ross at 11, but that's my concern moving forward. It should be every 49er fan's concern. How are you going to create pressure?
Well, how did he create it 2 years ago?
See, I think he had some depth on that line.
Okay.
So then he was getting help other places.
Then he's not a superstar. I'm sorry.
But it's like Aiyuk. They paid him as one. And I'm not saying he's falling off. I'm just saying it's real. The numbers are not there. So as we criticize Aiyuk, I think Bosa's in that same boat.
The difference between the two of them is Bosa's contract negotiations were completely away from the public. And I think what's hurting Brandon Aiyuk right now is the fact that there are a lot of 49er fans that don't like the way he handled free agency. Although, is that fair? 49er fans? Did I characterize that correctly? I mean, of the holdouts that we've seen.
Oh, he lost a couple people, Steiny.
Trent Williams didn't really get public over his. McCaffrey certainly didn't get public over his. But Aiyuk absolutely went public over his, and I do think it turned fans off. I remember talking about Brandon Aiyuk and Trent Williams, and I said, to my way of thinking, the Trent Williams holdout's more annoying because this is Brandon Aiyuk's window to get paid, and Trent Williams was under contract. But most people said it was Aiyuk because they didn't like the tact he was taking during negotiations.
He went public.
Exactly. And so I think that sticks out to people.
Estimated Eyes on the YouTube chat says, gosh, I don't think Bosa looked that bad. It's not bad. We're looking for dominance. And we're talking about the highest paid defensive lineman in the game, defensive player in the game. So quarterbacks are being comfortable when they play the red and gold, and I don't think it's unfair to start at the top when you look at your best player to be more ferocious or disruptive. And Steiny, I'm going to be consistent till I see something else. I'm not Reggie White, but I remember the greats, the Jerome Browns, the Charles Haley's, the Fred Deans, all the great ones, J.J. Watt. You got to have more than one move. And it seems like Bosa is a one-trick pony just trying to slither and beat his man to the outside. And when that's not working, there's nothing else there.
Well, if that's the case, then the 49ers made a mistake. And maybe they're starting to pay for that right now. The 2-1-3, the defense has never been as good as advertised. Now the chickens have come home to roost. Defense misses their true dog and their emotional leader, Dre Greenlaw. Let's go to Viking Dave. Hey, Viking Dave, what's going on, man?
He's feeling good.
Hey, good morning.
Hey.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, I've been a Viking fan since 1962.
All right.
I think what's going on with the Niners, I believe they're still hungover from last year's Super Bowl. And to boot, I think when the Vikings beat them in Minnesota a couple of weeks ago, it was a punch in the gut. And it just seems like recently there's no morale. It seems like they have their heads down when they lose. I think what they need is a booster shot and maybe bring in Ric Flair from the WWE before a game in the locker room and turn him up, get him going. You know, or some 49er greats like Joe Montana do a little pep talk before a game and get them all going. But it just seems like there's no morale. There's no pump. There's no, we'll go out and play. And that's it. Am I wrong?
No, I don't think you are. I don't think you're wrong about the emotion at all. I haven't seen it either. Maybe it's because you played 2 games on the road and it's tougher to get wound up on the road, but that is one thing that has been noticeable. There's no spark. There's no spark on this team yet. There's no spark defensively, that's for sure.
But what about when we saw Warner, pick off Sam Darnold and knock the ball out at the goal line? Those are plays, but after the play resulted in a turnover, I felt like I saw the motion. And I'll say this to his point. If I'm a Niner fan, you best believe you want it to be a Super Bowl hangover, because when I hear hangover, that's not about talent. That's just about your mentals. What I'm looking at is it's about the skill set and the skill set on the defense and the defensive line. And the lack of skill set. So, Steiny, I would take a Super Bowl hangover all day as opposed to avoiding the rat on the table, it being about talent.
It might be about talent. It might be about talent.
I'm not seeing that non-emotion, I guess.
Okay, give me a play where people were going crazy. Like, give me anything that resembles Bosa sliding on the grass against Washington.
I had nothing for you.
Exactly. They have not played with any noticeable fire that I've seen. Fred Warner's Fred Warner, but there's 10 other guys on defense. The defensive backs haven't been good. The defensive line has gotten no pressure.
We sure haven't seen a viral video of number 71 pancaking a dude that we normally see. I know it's early, but you know what I'm talking about, where he just looks like the Incredible Hulk.
What about week 1?
Week 1.
When they kick 6 field goals.
No, I'm saying the defense. Like, if you're talking about not playing with fire, they did play with fire for 1 week.
Well, maybe they got to figure out how to do that on the road. Maybe they got a boost from the Monday night crowd. And maybe, it's kind of easier to play with emotion when you're up, and they were up all that game. Wow. Although then you could say the same about Sunday, and they didn't play with much emotion, I felt. That's just me. Do you guys agree? At 888-957-9570. Quarterback pressures. McKivitz, 5. Next up, Trent Williams, 3. Brendel, 3. Banks, 2. Pooney, 2. Sobair, 1.
And the bottom line is your quarterback had to get an MRI, even though you said it was clean on his back. That's not good. He's not the biggest dude either. Steiny, 10 rushes. How much of those were, because he was running for his life? But, they got to be better. They just do. So you talked about, and I ain't forgot your lesson. I didn't agree with it. Load management in football. And out of nowhere, Kittle wasn't available. But I'm watching this closely, Steiny. Like, a back is, I don't got to tell you how serious that is, but it is strange. He comes off a game where he got sacked 6 times. He's running for his life, doing everything he can against the Rams, and he played exceptional. And now he's got whatever's going on. Like, you got to protect him better.
This is a good point from the 510, and I'd forgotten it, but it's true. You say 2 home games, you say 2 games on the road, but SoFi was 75% Niners fans. Yeah, you're right. I can't deny that. I'm not a big fan of this word, but the 360 nails it. No swagger. They don't have any swagger right now. Aiyuk going public is not the issue, says the 503. The issue is his poor body language and attitude for somebody who just got paid to run cardio routes and drop passes. He's been acting this way since the Super Bowl loss. He makes it all about him. That's what a lot of it describes a few receivers. Let's just put it that way. But Ayuk's not off to a good start. That's obvious.
Yeah.
That's absolutely obvious. Let's take a listen to some of Kyle Shanahan. And this is the one that I'm going to start at the bottom because I found this one interesting. And the reason I found it interesting is because it sounds to me like a coach who, I don't want to say is reaching, but it's a coach who doesn't want to exactly give in to getting beat. Fair and square. Take a listen.
You'd love to be able to make the tackle at the gunner. I loved how I think Malik shot his guns, which slows the guy down a little bit. And you need a contained player on that play when he gets to the sidelines. There was a clip in the back which would have negated him from getting to the sidelines. But once they did end up clipping us, he got to that edge, and our contained player who was supposed to be there was not there. He was sucked up in the middle. and they didn't get to that, which led to a huge play. And that's coaching, that's playing, that's everything. But that's why it happened, and we got to make sure that we get a guy there, because if they do get to the edge, however they get to the edge, you better have a guy in contain, and we didn't.
Once they clipped, they were, refs missed a call.
Well,
refs missed a call.
But right, that was just like we talked about. It was one play of the game, and as Evan pointed out, we were talking about the drop by Ronnie Bell. That was second down. You still had other times to make up for that, and it seems like 2 of the 3 games this season, the Niners haven't. We get fixated on one play, but there's other opportunities that are not being had, and that's why they sit at 1 and 2.
From the 510, this is interesting. And the texter may be onto something. The hangover is not from the Super Bowl appearance. It's from the lousy off-season. I can throw the training camp in there, too. I mean, their guys didn't play a lot in training camp. And now they've started the season pretty slow.
Well, to Evan's point, they dominated the Jets, right?
The Jets stunk. Let's put the rat on the table that night.
Well, there's a reason you stink. The Niners made them stink.
They're 2-1.
Yeah.
Right, but let's not forget that Aaron Rodgers is playing his first game in like 2 years. Right. So they got the benefit of having him rusty. And
they ran the ball down their throat, which has still been the one good thing about this Niners season and offense, Donnie. They've been running the ball effectively.
They have.
Baldy was talking about, I'll call it the backup to the backup, but he was just talking about the yards per attempt for Mason, Steiny. That's kind of going down, the more he carries, and that's kind of obvious, but you want to give him some rest too. Now, I'm not saying a quarter, but you want to have some relief for him, and that's why we saw Garindo. I don't know what you thought of him, but he ran the ball, and especially now that everything is
he ran the ball.
Is Red Cross, you got to be careful. You don't want to run anybody in the ground, is my point.
This is Baldy. Brian Baldinger on with the morning show on Jordan Mason's workload.
I mean, he's got 70 touches now, Joe, in 3 games. Like, you're on pace right now for 300. He's never done this before. I don't know if he can hold up the way they're going. You need Debo back. You need Garendo. Like, you can't. I don't think you could pound Jordan Mason because of the way that he runs. Like, he finishes his runs. He finishes hard, which is great. You want that. I don't know that he can handle 70 more touches the next 3 weeks without wearing down. You look at his total yards right now, you look at his yards per carry, since that Jet game, it has decreasingly gone down.
Yep.
And so that's not a great sign right now.
Wow. That's Brian Baldinger on with the morning show. And to me, it seems pretty obvious. And maybe we should have thought about it a little bit before, but you can't go from a backup who doesn't carry the ball a lot to all of a sudden a guy who's
Earl Campbell
asked to run 20, 25 times a game. And you got to start thinking about how much he can last and how much he can do over the course of a season. So, maybe they got to really monitor Jordan Mason in the next few weeks to see what he looks like. I thought he looked pretty good on Sunday, but Baldy's right. He runs hard.
Oh, man.
He runs hard. And so does Debo Samuel. And sometimes you have to just acknowledge that the guys who play like that might get hurt a little more than the guys who don't.
McCaffrey runs hard also, Steiny.
He does. He takes
and
he's hurt.
Yeah.
So there you go. And he's gotten hurt. So I don't know.
Garindo had 5 carries for 19 yards, 3.8 a pop. So his longest was 6 yards. But man, at this point, if I'm Kyle Shanahan, Steiny, I know it's a violent sport. You just mentioned it. You can't manipulate it, but damn, man, Baldy, that was some real stuff about J.P. Mason.
Yeah, 888-957-9570 is the number. If I asked you what's the one big thing wrong with the 49ers, how would you answer that right now? How would you answer it?
And yours is no swagger, no fire.
Sure.
Man,
that's
I'm
one of them.
Watch that this week.
That's one of them. I mean, there's so many. I mean, to me,